Wars is another one of those tracks that's, you know, a mainstay on the Megadeth set list. It's usually actually the song we close the show with, and I think there are several reasons for that. It is the opening track on one of the band's most legendary albums, Rust in Peace, which is really, I think the record came out in 1990, which really put Megadeth on the map internationally and in the States, of course, as well. But this being the opening track, it's a very long, epic track. Another one of those with different sections to it. And it also has a really iconic solo by Dave towards the end of the song. And yeah, Nick Menza put down an incredible performance on this. A lot of really cool, groovy drumming that I feel like kind of continues what Gar Samuelson had done. This was, of course, the first record Nick played on. Really cool syncopated grooves, a lot of little accents. It's a very intense song drumming-wise. And live, it's actually, normally the live version we play is even longer than the studio version. It's a right-hand workout. The song opens with this guitar riff with groups of three, and what's tricky about that is that it's actually the third note that's on the beat, so it's like da-ga-dun, 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 da-ga-da. So if you listen to it at first, it could sound like, you know, some kind of polyrhythm, like it's off, but that's like the downbeat is on the third note of the riff. And it starts with just the guitar, and then the drums come in and follow a version of that riff, so it's like just groups of three. But then it kicks straight into the main groove of the song, which is also going to be, you know, used again in the verse, another version of that. And one of those very cool syncopated grooves with a lot of power and a lot of cool little accents. It's quite a complex song when you think about it, because there's lots of winding with the riffs, you know. But then it's interspersed with this da-ga-da-ga-da. Right, so this really fast fill that happens in the first riff of the song, there's a fast sextuplet fill on the toms that goes into a short stop, and then the riff comes back. It changes, you know, from the tom perspective, it changes kind of in a weird place, because it changes on the third sextuplet instead of on the first one. It's kind of like a rah, kind of that feeling it gives me, you know, kind of like what you do. And that's always a very kind of tricky technical part to get right. Tough stuff. So after the verse riff, which is a continuation of the opening riff of the song with variations and little fills put in, there's an abrupt cut. It goes into this cool acoustic guitar part where I use my chimes, the one time I get to use my chimes in the show. And then it goes into a very heavy breakdown part where basically it's only toms. So it's cool because you got the 4 on the floor on the kick, and then there's this tom pattern that follows the rhythm guitar that goes. From there it goes into some cymbal stops and a very heavy slow breakdown riff, which is, I think, perfect for headbanging and has some of Dave's iconic lyrics about killing the wife and the baby, you know, like this. Obviously, the Holy War song, I think the whole story behind how that song came to be and how that lyric came to be is well documented. Dave's told the story 1,000 times, so I'm not gonna redo it here, but it's still one of those moments that's, you know, people would be really disappointed if we didn't play that song, so it's a mainstay. And the guitar solo section in Holy Wars is a very heavy, slow riff. Not quite doom metal, but almost kind of like a doom metal approach in the riff. And then the C section, this one has one of Dave's really iconic leads. It starts with a part with, again, interruptions on the drums, kind of an upbeat part, and then it goes into a very steady, sparse part with no crashes or accents or anything, just basically a whole bunch of bars, I don't even know how many, but a lot, that are just kind of underlaying Dave's solo. That's like the focal point there is Dave's solo, and that's a solo that, you know, by his telling, he kind of didn't quite know what to do on that part, and he just turned up the amp and shredded something, and that became the solo. And I love stories like that where just a one take situation where it's like, I don't know, let's try it, let's see what happens, and then it just happens. You know, that's really cool. And yeah, that's one of those places where Nick knew how to show restraint. You know, there's some kick pattern happening there, so it's like I can break it down. Actually, it's those 4 bars repeated over and over behind the solo. So there's no crashes, nothing else. It's just that. Like I said, a right hand workout because the right hand just keeps going there. And it's cool that, you know, after all the stuff that's happening before, all the fills and all the hits and accents, different offbeat things, it's cool that there's then this part where now it's the solo. I think that's something that Dave has always been really good at, is to make sure that everybody gets to shine on stage, whether it's him or everybody else in the band, we get our moments. All right, so we're gonna watch the entire Holy Wars now, but before we do so, please click on the Drumeo link below and get the transcription and the drumless track and create your own version of Holy Wars. I want to hear it.